Here's Larson. Larson to the bottom of the track.
Slide job.
The momentum. The 18. They make contact. Here comes the 18. He puts the bumper to the back of him. Kyle Busch will win. Series champion.
If you don't like that kind of racing, don't even watch.
Kyle Busch. The man needs no introduction to those even a little bit familiar with NASCAR. If you somehow are unfamiliar, here's a rundown. 63 Cup wins, 10th all-time, 2 championships, has at least 1 race win in 19 straight seasons, winning 8 times out of 36 in a year, twice, and perhaps best of all, 234 wins across NASCAR's top 3 series. Easily a record. In fact, he also has the most wins in the O'Reilly series and the Truck series. That alone would make him iconic. But to make it all better, he had perhaps the best personality of modern NASCAR.
Going back here, and we're going to have a little talk. And there goes his car.
Everything's great. Looking forward to getting back to the racetrack and getting into my race car.
Are you okay with Joey moving forward?
Everything's great. Really looking forward to getting in my race car and getting back here at Phoenix. I'm still not a very big fan of these things. I can't stand to drive them. They suck.
Actually, a broken A-arm that had them in the evening.
He's got him. Oh, I believe he's got him this time. Oh, he turned him.
No.
Oh, he turned him. No.
Back at the pack. There goes Kyle Busch, the 18. Oh, and he almost saved it, and he did.
Well, that did not work out for. Oh, Kyle Busch turns Chase Elliott.
th caution flag.
Oh boy.
If you love you some rowdy, let me hear you go. Boom.
At one time, NASCAR's most hated driver, because he won too much and was one of the most aggressive drivers out there. Yes, he wasn't perfect, but his on-track success was unmatched. Plus, he is an amazing father and husband as well. His son Brexton may become a racer one day, or maybe not, but hey, that's up to him. And he was probably best known for dominating an often forgotten era of NASCAR, the Gen 6 era. Okay, maybe it's not forgotten, but many say this era has boring racing and is forgettable a lot of the time. But Kyle Busch found a way to break through and become a legend in this era. So, let us break down this era and analyze Kyle's successes here. 35 wins, 135 top 5s, 197 top 10s, and 313 starts. 2 titles, 5 Final Four appearances. Other than Kevin Harvick, who had an anomaly 2020 pop-off season, Busch is easily the most successful driver of the era, and Kyle is obviously way more exciting to watch. While Harvick had his aggressive days, in this era he was more of a respected elder statesman. Kyle gave us the entertainment. And he is, in my opinion at least, the best driver of the Gen 6 era. Before we showcase the utter dominance of the 18 M&M's Toyota, we should take a brief look at his history. To begin, Kyle ran his first truck race at age 16. NASCAR responded by making it so you have to be 18 to run. Yeah, probably because the race that weekend was sponsored by Marlboro, a tobacco company. But Kyle was eventually able to make it to the Cup Series in 2005. 1 year after his older brother, Kurt Busch, won the NASCAR Cup Championship. Kyle started his Cup career at Hendrick Motorsports, and at Fontana became the youngest Cup Series winner at the time at just 20 years old. He was known for bowing after a win, a tribute to his hometown, Las Vegas, and what showmen and magicians do after an act. It may also be a way to taunt the fans, but regardless, it became one of NASCAR's most iconic celebrations. Maybe not quite as revered as the backflip, but still a great one. At Hendrick, he was acceptable, but not entirely stellar. He won once more in 2005, then once a season in 2006 and 2007, although 07 was the first Car of Tomorrow win. He was pretty consistent in the points but had limited wins. Due to this, and also the fact that Hendrick won a Dale Jr., Kyle was booted from HMS but was picked up by Joe Gibbs. In his first season, he won 8 times, becoming a force for the title. He also decided to wreck the guy who replaced him.
Oh, he turned him.
No.
Oh, he turned him. No. No.
Dale Jr. revealed his fate.
He's gonna need some security from all of us.
And also did this.
That car.
They got together.
And Kyle Busch goes around.
Once the chase began, Kyle Busch had a dismal beginning, which eventually led to a 10th place points finish. In 2009, he won 4 times but missed the chase. In 2010, he had 3 wins, and in 2011, he had 4 wins. This was the season where Kyle Busch had rampages, including this 2011 run-in at Darlington, but also when he intentionally wrecked Ron Hornaday Jr. at Texas in the truck race. Hornaday was a championship contender, and Kyle Busch, who was not eligible for points, ruined it. Kyle was actually suspended for this race, as the announcer suggested.
Well, Kyle Busch should be parked for this race and maybe the rest of the season for that.
Kyle claims that he had warned Hornaday that if he had gotten it to him again, he would be done for, and he made good on that promise. In 2012, he won only once and missed the chase. So that's where 2013 comes into play, the beginning of the Gen 6 era. His first win was an absolute classic finish. Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano were battling for the win at Auto Club, but Joey decided it was best to prevent Hamlin from securing a victory at all. Kind of odd, but you do you. Interestingly, Logano got into a fight, but not with Hamlin, but with Tony Stewart. Oh, and Hamlin got hurt. Hope you feel bad, Logano. Anyway, Kyle Busch was able to pass these cars as they battled and stole the victory from them. Years later, he would do it twice more as the front two wrecked in the last turn. Odd that it happened 3 times. Anyway, his next win of the season came at Texas, leading the most laps and holding off Martin Truex Jr. for the win. Throughout the season, he managed to stay around 6th to 10th place in the points. Not the best, but still good. His 3 races after Texas really sucked, along with Charlotte. But between Darlington and his next win at Watkins Glen, which was a span of 12 races, he only had 2 finishes worse than 12th, including 5 top 5s. Kyle Busch wrangled the lead away from Marcos Ambrose, winner of the last 2 Glen races, to secure his 3rd win at the 7-turn road course. His final win of the season came at Atlanta, not taking the lead until 36 to go and not looking back. After an uneventful race at Richmond, Kyle Busch was tied for 2nd in the seeding with 4 wins, and without the chase, he would have been 4th anyway, so pretty good. He got off to a good start with a runner-up at Chicago, although the one guy who beat him was teammate Matt Kenseth, who scored his 6th win of the season. The next week at New Hampshire, the result would be literally the same. I don't get it. 14 points behind Kenseth. They went to Dover next. Kyle Busch finished 5th while Kenseth finished 7th. Kyle fell to 3rd because Jimmy Johnson was literally untouchable at the Monster Mile. Race 4, Kansas. Kyle Busch was involved in a crash on lap 2. Wow. He wrecked twice more, DNFing and finishing 34th. Not the worst thing. He's 5th, but 35 points behind. Okay, to get ahead, we'll need a big run. Charlotte was a 5th. Decent, but 37 behind Kansas. But next week is Talladega, where we can expect the wild card of wrecked cars and crazy finishes. Kyle Busch was 5th, Kenseth was 20th, and Johnson was 13th. 26 points behind. Still a sizable gap, but manageable. Martinsville, 15th ain't bad, but Johnson and Kenseth both got a top 5. They are clearly the title favorites. Texas, 13th, 52 points behind. Wow. His title is basically over now. Phoenix, better than Kenseth, but worse than Johnson. 57 points behind, he's out. Jimmy Johnson wins the title. Kyle Busch is 4th, 55 points behind. Without the chase, he's still 4th, but 85 points behind. There's always next year. 2014, he won once. At Auto Club again. Due to the new playoff format, with a win, he's in. And now let's go through the rounds. Round 1, 7th, 8th, and 10th. He moves on to the next round. Round 2. He was 3rd and 5th at first, but a 40th at Talladega? That's not going to cut it. Eliminated. He had 2 good finishes and 2 abysmal ones. He ended up 10th in points, but without the chase, he'd be 15th. Not a season a championship caliber team expects. I guess we'll have to see what 2015 brings.
Eric Jones around. Back across the field. The big one, part 2 at Daytona.
Ooh. This was the nationwide series race at Daytona before the Daytona 500. During the race, Kyle Busch wrecked and hit the inside wall. This broke his legs and sidelined him for 11 Cup races. Normally, this means that there would be no shot at a title this year. He would have to wait another year. But we don't live in normal times. First off, NASCAR made sure to add safer barriers to almost every track wall. These barriers absorb the impact of a car collision to reduce damage and risk of injury. Otherwise, the car just goes head-on into the wall. Full impact. Safer barriers can bend. They were added significantly after this, but also after Dale Sr.'s death. Kyle's surgeries were successful, but he didn't necessarily rush back. He waited 3 months, returning at the All-Star race, and he got a top 10. Remember, under NASCAR's new chase format, Kyle Busch simply had to win to get into the chase and be top 30 in points. He had gotten away from NASCAR due to his injury, but it isn't quite that simple. Just 2 years ago, Denny Hamlin, after that debacle, remember, was unable to find himself a victory until the final race of that season. When Dale Earnhardt was injured in '96, it took him until the 1998 Daytona 500 to secure a victory. It's hard to come back from an injury and win.
Kyle Busch wins at Sonoma.
In his 5th point start back, he wins at Sonoma. Crazy. And to boot, he definitely does a burnout. At Daytona, he's 17th, but you know what happens next? 3 races, 3 wins. He won at Kentucky, Loudon, and Indianapolis. He only now had to get within the top 30 in points. After Indy, he was 32nd. He finished a subpar 21st at Pocono, but with a 2nd at Watkins Glen, he got in and had no finish worse than 11th until the regular season ended. He was in 4 wins. Mid-20s in points, but here, it doesn't matter. The story of the 2015 chase, at first, is not dominated by Busch at all. He's not even close to the forefront. But we'll get to that. He finishes 9th at Chicago, but 37th at New Hampshire. He has a clutch 2nd at Dover, and since it is the round of 16 and other drivers faltered, he moves on. Round of 12. 20th at Charlotte, 5th at Kansas, 11th at Talladega. This doesn't seem that impressive, but he moves on. But not many are thinking about him. Kenseth was en route to a win at Kansas, but Logano booted him. Logano swept the round. I think you know how this story goes. Round of 8. Kyle finishes 5th at Martinsville, 4th at Texas, and 4th at Phoenix. He advances. Pure consistency. It also helps that Texas was won by Jimmy Johnson, not in the chase this round, and Dale Jr. took Phoenix, also eliminated. The 4 contenders were Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. There were plenty of intriguing stories going into the race. Kevin Harvick had been the dominant car now that Joey self-destructed, and he was the champion last year. Jeff Gordon was in his final season of his storied career and had a chance to go out on top. Martin Truex Jr. is the underdog story with a team not from Charlotte that sucked last year, but now is able to maybe get a championship. And Kyle Busch has the injury storyline. Which storyline pulls through to become the final chapter of this eventful season?
Tonight he earns his first Cup title. Kyle Busch, the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion.
Kyle Busch, 11 years of racing, and finally, he has reached the pinnacle of the sport. After so much adversity through the broken leg, he now stands above all. Of course, he ended up only finishing 20th in points, but for missing a third of the season, that's actually really good. Now he can officially take his place among the greatest of NASCAR. However, there was a lot of controversy. Kyle Busch missed 11 races. Under any other circumstance, he wouldn't come close to a championship. NASCAR's gimmicks to guarantee a Game 7 moment led to this, but it arguably leads to undeserving drivers who play the system. Of course, this isn't any driver's fault, it's NASCAR's. But it didn't help that Kyle Busch is easily NASCAR's most polarizing driver.
It's an odd one and a tough one. Just barely touches him there.
Retaliate? Yes, he turns him.
He didn't like what he saw.
And there Kyle goes for retaliation.
I'll hold you one lap. They said we sped.
Fast.
They said we sped to keep from going a lap down.
Well, I mean, he was going to be a lap down either way.
Said unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's the real.
That's freedom of speech. They're going against the constitutional rights of everybody. Kyle, stop, please! And we all work too hard for this. You're costing us. Bring it to pit road. Park it for 2 laps.
Brad Keselowski, driver of the Penske Racing Dodge. Kyle Busch is...
We've already mentioned some of his experiences. I mean, heck, Richard Children even once punched the dude. He was getting booed everywhere. NASCAR's heel, so to say. So, what happens in 2016? He had 4 wins this season. Amazingly, none were in the chase. In fact, except for his title win last year and one race in 2005, he had not won in the final 10 races of any season. Okay, let's go over his 2016 victories. He started the season with 4 straight top 5s, being tied in the standings with Kevin Harvick. Then he had a 25th at Fontana. He recovered with 2 straight wins. He dominated the crap out of Martinsville, leading 352 laps, including the last 174. His next win was decidedly not dominant, but he led the final stretch at Texas. Next week saw 38th at Bristol? Something relevant to mention is that Bristol is arguably Kyle Busch's best track. He had 8 wins on the concrete half mile with 15 top 5s and 20 top 10s in 40 starts. This includes a sweep in trucks, nationwide, and Cup Series in 2010, something no one else had done before, and no other driver has done it since. Sure, sometimes you see people win in 2 series in a weekend, but not 3. At Richmond the next week, he almost won, but Carl Edwards, his new teammate instated last year, booted him out of the way. Another runner-up at Talladega, and then he goes out and wins Kansas. So that's 3 wins in 11 races. His next 4 races are disastrous, and after Michigan, he's 9th in points. Not the worst, but come on, he won the title last year. He did better though, including a win at Indianapolis for the 2nd year in a row. And after the regular season, he was 6th in points. But none of that matters now. It's time for Kyle Busch to go again. In the next 9 races, he had an average finish of 4.5, except Talladega, but that doesn't count because it's a plate track. He made it to the Final 4 once again. But at Homestead, he only led a single lap as he conceded the title to the legend.
Jimmy Johnson wins his 7th NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship!
I mean, obviously he didn't lose on purpose, of course. That wasn't my implication. I meant it in the metaphorical sense. Like, I don't know. Obviously no one intentionally gives up the title. I'm just saying it was Jimmy Johnson's time because destiny paved the way for Jimmy Johnson. Kyle Busch would have to wait. A rivalry between Busch and a certain team was becoming very clear this season. At Las Vegas early in the year, Logano wrecked Kyle Busch, leading to a fistfight where Kyle got bloodied. Kyle, Logano, and even Keselowski kept running into each other. Well, I mean, Logano and Keselowski weren't running into each other. I mean, they were both running into Kyle Busch. Watkins Glen. Logano supposedly holding up Kyle Busch at Homestead, but let's not worry about that. Ironically, Kyle and Brad ended up in a commercial together years later. Now, what could happen here? Well, he didn't win until the 2nd Pocono race. That seems very odd. That's like 20 races into the season. But there's a practical reason for this. See, the Toyotas unveiled a new body for their car entering the 2017 season. This means that, at first, they were off the pace. No Toyota won in the first half of the season except for Martin Truex Jr. It took until Pocono for Kyle to win. He would have won Indianapolis, but...
Oh, Kyle Busch slides and does the 78!
And that turned into an absolute mess. But also perhaps the best Indy Cup finish, so we're good for that. I like that. Your sacrifice was worth it, Kyle. Kyle's next one is at Bristol. Now, remember the 2010 race? Where he swept it, and Brad Keselowski had choice words to say? Well...
We're doing a sequel.
He swept it again. He did it twice. No one else has done it once. Kyle Busch is just the guy at Bristol. No comparison. Kyle knows how to navigate the track. He even brought out a broom. Valid. After the 26th race in Richmond, he was 3rd in points, behind Martin Truex Jr. and only barely behind Kyle Larson. But who cares about long points? Playoffs only, baby! So, enter the first round. He's never won in the last 10 races except for 2015 and 2005, so a 3-win season.
Kyle Busch is going to win in the Granite State!
Oh, wow. He did it. And he did it again at Dover a week later. While Truex is undoubtedly still the favorite because he's just that dominant, Kyle Busch is quickly racking off playoff points and becoming perhaps the 2nd title favorite, surpassing Larson in that regard, especially since Larson blew a motor at Kansas. Sad. With consistent enough finishes in round 2, he moves on to the final 8. Now, I'm sure we all know about this race, but I won't talk about it today because I'm going to talk about that in a future video. Suffice to say, Kyle Busch won after slightly moving his teammate Denny Hamlin, so he moves on. Next 2 races barely matter for him. Homestead! The final 4 are him, Truex, Kevin Harvick, and Brad Kowalski. However, despite his best efforts and leading 43 laps, he fell just short of Martin Truex Jr. Let's be honest though, Truex deserved this championship. He won 8 times and just led the field in almost every category. This was definitely the best outcome. But Kyle should fret not. He finished second in both the playoffs and the season-long points to 2017 MTJ. Again, his season is a very successful one by any metric. He just had to go up against 2017 MTJ, who is inevitable. For those keeping track at home, that's 3 Final Four appearances in a row. He has the most appearances, tied with Kevin Harvick. In fact, next year they will tie for something significant.
There is one storyline from this 2018 season that everyone remembers. Probably, I have not asked anyone. The Big Three! But what is the Big Three? I'm glad you asked. Our first member, Kevin Harvick. He won 3 races in a row, the second, third, and fourth race of the 2018 season. He then won 4 more times before the playoffs began. Our second member is Martin Truex Jr., who won 4 times, including the 5th race of the season. And our last member, who I only included last for dramatic and pacing effect, is Kyle Busch. Obviously, otherwise this would just be a footnote in this video. He won 6 times in the regular season. This combined showing of 17 wins in 26 attempts is mind-blowing. By the end of the season, Harvick, Busch, and Truex had 23, 22, and 20 top 5s respectively. Their top 10 totals were 29, 28, and 21 respectively. This was the height of Gen 6 dominance. Unfortunately, many also viewed this era as boring, especially on the intermediates. 7 of the total race wins between these 3 included winning all the stages beforehand as well, cashing out on 60 points, barring penalties, which Harvick oddly had 2 of. So how did Kyle Busch do specifically in this season? First 6 races, poor Daytona 500, but after that, 5 straight top 10s. Actually, races 3 to 6 were 4 straight top 5s. No, I'll do you one better. 3 runner-ups, mostly to Harvick, and a 3rd. In fact, after Martinsville, he took the points lead. Then at Texas, he finally broke through with a dominant win. Then another win at Bristol. Again, he rocks there. Finally, a win at Richmond after starting 32nd. That drive back is huge. And that's 3 in a row, the second guy to do it this season. That's either a showcase of how dominant these 2 are, or a testament to how boring these cars could be. A great example of this is the Coke 600, Kyle's 4th win. He led 377 of 400 laps, not making it a contest. It really showed how stale the intermediates could get, mostly. Chicagoland that year became the exception. On the last lap, Kyle Larson made a sort of a slide job and hit Busch to take the lead, but Busch was having none of it.
Here comes the 18, he puts the bumper to the back of him!
Kyle hits Kyle. Larson spins and Busch hits the wall, but amazingly they finished 1-2.
Comes the 18! Kyle Busch will win!
Kyle did this
Champion.
and had this to say.
If you don't like that kind of racing, don't even watch.
Kyle Busch ain't done yet. He conquered the tricky triangle, and above all else, he has had the points lead since Martinsville in the spring. By the time the regular season is over, he leads the points by about 40. Oh, by the way, I just noticed, Kurt Busch is 4th, which is crazy because he kind of flew under the radar when he just wants a season normally. But he was really consistent this season. Huh. An interesting thing about Kyle Busch is the interviews. The person who gives the best interviews is probably Tony Stewart, but Kyle Busch is a close second. He's known for being very passive-aggressive and or literal.
I'm not surprised about anything. Congratulations. If he would have ran his own line up at the top of the track and I would have ran my own line down at the bottom of the track, it could have been a battle between us two. But unfortunately, you race with idiots, and I guess you'll have that sometimes.
Kyle, how do you feel about the way you were penalized for what happened out there?
Kyle, you overcame some adversity on pit road to work your way back up. Can you talk about how you made your way back to the field?
Pure talent.
They're late.
52, get it right. Don't know.
Well, how did that impact your car?
Killed it.
What do you think? Were you happy that you were able to come back after the early damage?
Nope.
Or what happened there at the beginning of the race?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Honestly, sometimes I get it. Answering questions can be tiring. Most NASCAR answers follow a script. Kyle followed sometimes, but not always. Heck, even back in 2007, he was up front.
I'm still not a very big fan of these things. I can't stand to drive them. They suck.
Some may see this as too much. After all, this is part of the job, but he is still human. But you should take solace in the fact that at least he's not as bad as his brother.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well.
After the playoff reset, Kyle is tied for first with Harvick. So, let's go. First round, Kyle wins Richmond. Second round, it wasn't amazing, but again, his regular season dominance basically gives him a cushion. Third round, a win at Phoenix means the rest of it doesn't matter. As expected, the Big Three has reached the finale. 3 guys to fight for the title. All deserving. Maybe Truex less so, but he's still able to keep up with these guys. And winning isn't everything. After all, he could have won 6 races by now. Time to duke it out. Wait, it's the final 4. Well, who the heck is the other guy? Who? Some nobody who didn't even make the playoffs last year? It's the Big Three and me. Oh well, let's ignore him. He will lose. Anyway, will Kyle Busch win his second?
It's Joey Logano who wins!
Oh. To be fair, Logano did have 26 top 10s, which is more than Truex and only 2 away from Kyle Busch. But he had 13 top 5s and only 3 wins, which is only 1 less than Truex. But when the playoffs began, he had only 1 win at Talladega. But that's not Logano's fault, and credit to Busch. He would have won the championship under the full season points for good to him. That's cash, as my cohort likes to say. Let me introduce you to something I like to call bushwhacking. Bushwhacking is when Cup Series drivers go out and dominate the lower series. Its name comes from the NASCAR Busch Series, which was the title of the second tier series back in the day. This was common practice in the 2000s. In fact, let me read you off the 2000s Busch Series champions. Jeff Green, Kevin Harvick, Greg Whipple, Brian Vickers, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, Kyle Busch, and in 2010, Brad Keselowski. 6 of those ran the Cup Series at the same time. It was a way to dominate the series. And as a result of this, new talent coming into the Cup Series became a rarity. Just look at the Rookie of the Year from 2010 to 2012. I don't even know these guys. In 2011, NASCAR made it so you could only declare 1 series for points, hindering the bushwhacking and letting young talent rise. In 2017, NASCAR limited the amount of races Cup drivers can run in these races. Now the O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series have their own identity. Why bring up this seemingly useless phenomenon? Well, because the master of bushwhacking is, fittingly, Kyle Busch. He leads the all-time wins for both the O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series. After 2018, he has 194 victories across the top 3 series, only 6 away from Richard Petty at 200. Now, of course, this is very different. Richard Petty won 200 races in 1 series, and Busch could, at times, have 3 shots a weekend. So it's not comparable, but it is still interesting. In the Truck Series, Kyle Busch won at Atlanta and Las Vegas. In the, at the time called Xfinity Series, he won Las Vegas and Phoenix. And in the Cup Series, he won Phoenix and Auto Club. Interestingly, for all the series, these are 2 in a row. 200 wins. He did it. He tied a record which I'm sure people don't care about because at the Cup level, his win total is 53, which is obviously still impressive, but is nearly a quarter of the King's Cup triumphs. Regardless, this proves Kyle's versatility in NASCAR as no one else has come close to this. A few weeks later, he goes out and wins Bristol, and then he wins at Pocono yet again. That's 3 wins at the Tricky Triangle, which is honestly fitting. Obviously, he made the playoffs. He was involved in a back-and-forth points battle with Joey Logano, but he finished first in the points after the race 26. He had a pretty dismal first round, but he did have a second at Richmond. He moved on regardless. The next 2 rounds were something special, with 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s in each. But because of the regular season dominance, he had a huge playoff lead and was able to advance to the Final 4. However, that's where the final race comes in. Leading 120 laps, Kyle Busch was able to win the race and lock up his second NASCAR Cup title. In all honesty, he deserved this one without question. He had the best average finish and the most top 10s. He was second in top 5s behind Denny Hamlin, and he had 5 wins, which could be compared to Truex's 7 and Hamlin's 6. But without the playoffs, Kyle Busch still wins the title by only 2 points. Wow. It was definitely less dominant than 2018, but he was the actual champion, so as a result, he's remembered fondly here. Kyle Busch made 5 Final Fours in a row, including 2 titles. He had utter control of this car. He did everything to the top of his ability. He won 27 times in 5 years, an average of 5.4 wins a year. The only driver that can compare is Kevin Harvick, but he is definitely not as flashy. He didn't get as many boos. Kyle Busch is more well known and recognized. With this momentum, Kyle Busch is certain to make a run for the title yet again in 2020. He's known for his hot starts after all, like flaming hot. Let's see how he does. Ooh, well, this doesn't count because it's a plate track. Those always end in chaos. A 15th at Las Vegas isn't the best, but a 2nd and a 3rd are right what the doctor ordered. After that, some random, unimportant planned event occurred. Someone maybe raced at Darlington twice. Kyle Busch decided to throw it back early and wreck the most popular driver.
Not work out for, oh, Kyle Busch turns Chase Elliott.
Hard into the wall.
Then Chase did this. He still got it. That's my boy. Now, Kyle Busch has a son. Born in 2015, Brexton Busch quickly became a racing prodigy in 2020. He ran a ton of races for kids his age, and yes, he shows talent. Brexton seems passionate about this, and Kyle Busch definitely supports it. In fact, Kyle had revealed a retirement plan a while ago. He will race until Brexton is old enough, then he will race in the Truck Series to go for a title, as he wants to be the first to win a championship in all 3 series. Then he will race with Brexton, splitting the ride until Brex makes it to the Cup level. I mean, it makes sense. I just hope Brexton actually has the skill and isn't just a Nepo baby. Okay, let's see who he wins in 2020. Wait, oh, back up. Where is it? He should have got one by now. Uh-oh. Kyle Busch had an off year by his standards. 14 top 5s and 20 top 10s is still good. You should know this. But he was popping off 25 plus top 10s a year just in the previous years. He also has a streak of winning every year since he started racing at the Cup level. Starting in 2005, he's won at least 1 race a season. The record, held by Richard Petty, is 18 straight. Kyle is at 15 as it stands. He's at jeopardy of losing it. But that only exists at the Cup level. In the Truck Series, he was winning big. 7 wins in a row, as in the 7 races he participated in, he won. Yeah. Kevin Harvick offered a $50,000 bounty to anyone who could beat Kyle Busch in a truck race. Not just win, beat him in the trucks. The owner of GMS matched it, making it $100,000 that would go to charity. At Charlotte, Chase Elliott got revenge in a way and took the victory, claiming the $100,000. As a cherry on top, he also did a bow after the win as a sort of tribute. First 3 races of the playoffs, top 10s. Good deal. He continues that with a 6th at Las Vegas, but then has a 27th at Talladega and a 30th on the Roval. So, for the first time since 2014, Kyle Busch does not make the Final 4. Now he's only focused on one thing: winning a race. Wednesday. Wait, what do you mean Wednesday? COVID is over. Well, there's rain. Just a few days away from cold November rain. Again, Wednesday. Feels wrong to say. He led the last 24 laps, and using some strategy, he was finally able to take that victory. Finally, Kyle Busch, a winner once again. The streak continues. He also finished 8th in points. I feel like that's relevant. 2021 would be dominated by Kyle. Just not the one you're thinking of. But still, Kyle Busch had plenty of good moments. Let's go to the Bushy McBusch Race 400. Yes, that's a real title. Don't question it. And on his birthday, no less. He won that race, proving he could still wheel a car. Let's go over to Pocono, the second one. During this race, Kyle auditioned for karaoke, saved up a heck of a lot of gas, and won the race. In fact, he was also second the day before. As we all know, this leads to a playoff berth. In July, Kyle Busch won the Xfinity race at Atlanta. Actually, he won all 5 Xfinity races he participated in that season. COTA, Texas, Nashville, and North America were added on. The Atlanta win was his 102nd in the series, by far the best of all time. After this, Kyle would retire from the series, although he did continue to make sparse starts with no wins. In the playoffs, he got a top 10. Let's go! He moved on to round 2. Despite 2 top 5s, a 27th at Talladega ended his title hopes. And with that comes to a close the Gen 6 era. clearly a time of dominance for Kyle Busch. Kyle was excellent at grabbing poles, so starting up front in this package enabled him to run off and win a ton of races. He is the quintessential Generation 6 driver. But that era is over now, so what's to come next? Well, Generation 7, obviously. NASCAR doesn't give them cool names. Maybe they should. Yeah, they should. The only one that has one is Gen 5, the car of tomorrow. So, how did Busch do in 2022? Not great. By his standards, anyway. He won a single race by letting the top 2 cars wreck on Bristol dirt and nothing else. Good news! Here he tied Richard Petty's records for most consecutive seasons won. That's an insane record. He is straight up tying the king. Amazing. But after that, he was booted after round 1 of the playoffs, finishing 13th. Worse, he left Joe Gibbs Racing because M&M's left the sport. Joe Gibbs Racing, one of the greatest teams of all time, and they couldn't keep Kyle Busch, one of the best drivers of all time. You didn't leave after Busch did a Chick 6 impression, but now? Well. Regardless, he had to find a new team. Oh, how's that new Gibbs driver doing? Kyle Busch would move to Richard Childress Racing in 2023, and it worked spectacularly. He won 3 races: Auto Club, Talladega, and Gateway. So incredible. Surely this momentum would continue, and somehow the boos stopped, or at least they lessened. By a lot, surprisingly. Maybe it was because Kyle Busch was dominating less. Maybe it was because Denny Hamlin was now the villain in the eyes of the NASCAR community. Whatever the reason, Kyle kind of became a fan favorite. The rally for him was strong. Kyle seems to appreciate this, embracing it a lot. He used to egg on the fans, but now he was very well liked. As the playoffs began, there was hope. How far could he go? He was very favored. 11th, 7th, and 20th was decent. He did make it to round 2, but to make it further, he needs some top 5. Come on! 30th and 20th. Eliminated. 14th in points. Oh well, given his success last year, certainly 2024 will feature more of the same. Whoa, a 3rd finish at Atlanta? He's this close. His next win is... He didn't win? This is Kyle Busch. What do you mean he missed the playoffs? In 2025, too? This fall-off has been hard for KFB fans. We were spoiled as we knew him as the dominant driver, but to be reduced to this, not even making the playoffs? Was their goat washed? Many blame the team. RCR isn't really up to snuff, except for wrecking people at Richmond. And if maybe Kyle Busch went to a different team, he could be great again, like Spire's doing well. Kyle Busch had a crew chief change mid-2026, and the speed came back. Okay, not fully, but he was running top 10 late at Texas, and he had a top 10 at Watkins Glen. So I think maybe he could sniff out a win. Dover. It was a truck series race. It seemed like prime Kyle Busch returned. Dominated that race. His 69th career victory in the series. If I could describe it in one word, it would be cool.
For Kyle Busch, wins at Dover.
You never know when the last one is, you know.
On Thursday, May 21st, just 6 days after that truck win, Kyle Busch was admitted to a hospital. Later that day, he died from pneumonia and sepsis. This is definitely the most tragic NASCAR death since Dale Earnhardt, and the worst of my lifetime. I'm just gonna ramble on here for a second. I was not the biggest fan of Kyle Busch, but, well, he was my dad's favorite, and as a result, I always had a strong affinity for him. Plus, I liked his aggressive racing and his blunt interview style. I like seeing someone who is real, someone who would say what he's thinking and drive on the track aggressively in order to get any position he needed. Kyle Busch is a special driver. I mean, you have to be to win 2 championships in over 60 races. 63 races, how about that? It's hard to believe he's gone. It didn't register for me at first. When I saw the news, I couldn't believe it. I had to emotionally contain myself. I never knew him personally, obviously, and it must be incredibly hard for them, even more so than it was for me, because they knew him and they loved him, unlike anyone else ever could. My heart goes out to them. My heart goes out to them. Just 2 weeks earlier at Watkins Glen, Kyle told his radio to get a doctor ready because he needed a shot. So it wasn't totally out of nowhere, but it was shocking, especially considering how he won the Truck Dover race 6 days before he died. Plus his results were seeming to be getting better, but now he's gone. Kyle Busch was never the fan favorite. He was booed constantly, wrecked a lot of people, and sometimes acted out of line. But he was also extremely successful. Top 10 in NASCAR wins, a 2-time champion no matter how you shape it. He's the quintessential NASCAR driver of the 2010s, dominating almost every season in the late 2010s. Always a threat, always an excitement, always a champion. And as they say on the track, do it for Dale, be like Biff, push like Busch. Kyle Busch will be missed. Everyone can agree on that. I think that maybe we should collectively vote him in as the most popular driver for this year, much like how Earnhardt was in 2001. I think this year he deserves it. The tributes have been amazing. So, in summary, I believe he will be remembered as the best driver of the Generation 6 era.